Good morning, students. Am I audible? Can anyone respond?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Let's wait for another 2 to 3 minutes, students, and then we'll start the session. Let others will join. I hope there is no disturbance from my side, right?
No, sir, no disturbance.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Very less number, that is 38 till now 37 only. Akshita, unmute yourself.
Sir, 1 minute, sir. I'm renaming.
No, don't rename. Come with your roll number and name. Otherwise, you'll not be getting out attendance mark. That's the main problem. What's your roll number? Name. What's your number?
48, sir.
That's a problem. We are not able to identify your thing, Akshita. That's a problem. That's the reason we are asking you. Otherwise, you might be losing your attendance. Okay.
Can I exit and come?
When you are registering at the time itself, give your first name as roll number.
Okay, sir.
Okay. $48. Your number is.
Yes, sir.
No. So try to practice this Java program, students. Yesterday I said I will be sharing you. Today I will be sharing you the drive link and all everything because it contains some other content. So today I will be sharing you that what drive link and practice all the programs. What I'm going to teach over here, all the programs will be there in the drive, and download that. Try to execute those programs. Today I will be sharing you. And mostly by in the next week I would like to conduct one objective type question examination on Unit 1. How I will be conducting and all I will be sharing with you in the coming session. Okay, fine. So let's start the session. We have reached 53 members. Let's start the session. So the last class we started discussing about arrays concept. So we discussed one-dimensional array. We discussed about one-dimensional array, how to declare one-dimensional array. We discussed, and then we have seen one simple thing also in one-dimensional array, how we are declaring that one-dimensional array in one simple Java program. We have seen. Now we'll be seeing different what way of creating arrays and then initializing that arrays and how to take the syntax and how to get the length of the array, what is the difference between length and number of elements, all these things we'll be discussing in today's session. Mostly we'll try to close off arrays concept today. Otherwise, tomorrow we'll be closing of arrays concept and we'll be entering into the another important topic, that is what the inheritance topic we'll be discussing in tomorrow's session. Right. So with this arrays, we can conclude that the basics of Java was going to be completed. With constructor only it was completed, but arrays also is a part of can be considered as a part of basics, and the basics of Java is going to be completed as we are completing this arrays concept, right? So last class we discussed about the basic syntax of arrays. Basically, an array is a collection of similar elements from C language. You already know the definition. An array is a collection of similar elements stored in adjacent memory location. And the same definition what we used in C, and we'll be using the same definition in Java. And we have different types of arrays, what we discussed in C and C++. Like that in Java also, we'll be having one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, another two-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array we'll be having, and four-dimensional array. Like that, how many number of dimensions that you want, you can take over there. But as a simple classification, we divided this in Java. Arrays has been divided into two types. One is single dimension, other one is multi-dimensional. Under that multi-dimensional, we have two-dimensional, three-dimensional, four-dimensional, n-dimensional arrays we can take. Okay. So we seen about, you already know about single dimensional. There will be only one dimension, and that can be considered as what? A single dimensional array. So how to declare this single dimensional array means very simple. When you declare an array in Java, it doesn't mean that the memory is going to be allocated. The memory is going to be allocated as soon as you construct an object. As soon as you construct an object, then only memory will be allocated for a array. So suppose if you take int space x, opening subscript, closing subscript, opening subscript, closing subscript, then this is what we are declaring it. That's it. We are not creating an array. We are not constructing an array. Just we are declaring it. So we can take the subscript before x, or else after integer int keyword we can take. But we are not supposed to take this subscript before int. If you are trying to take the subscript before int, then it generates an error. And one important thing that at the time of declaring, if you are taking int space within this dimensions, if you are going to take size means, then Java compiler generates an error. So we already seen this in the last class. You can take subscript anywhere, like before a you can take, or after int you can take, or anywhere you can take the subscript. After int, before int, if you are taking means, then it generates what? Error. Error. When you are going to compile this Java C space ex.java, then your Java compiler generates an error. So you're not supposed to take subscript before int keyword, right? So it generates what? Error. So where we can take is after int keyword, immediately int keyword we can take, or before a we can take, or anywhere you can take. And same thing happens with respect to two-dimensional array also. That means we can take two subscripts here you can take, or else we can take this two subscripts over here, or else you can take this two subscripts here, and you can take you are not supposed to take two subscripts over here. If you are trying to take this means, then Java compiler generates an error. But probably you might be getting one more doubt that, so can we take subscripts like this for two-dimensional array? Like that you might be having a doubt, like first we'll be taking int followed by subscript, followed by subscript, followed by a, followed by subscript, semicolon. Let's see whether the Java compiler is going to allow it or not. It's going to be allowed. There won't be any problem with that kind of declaration. That means two-dimensional array can be declared like this. Okay, right. I hope everyone clear with this declaration part. Students, I need response.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So now I'm taking here size. When I'm going to take size here, the Java compiler generates an error. So it's generating an error over there, right? We are not supposed to take size. Just declaration is allowed. Now, in the place of this int, we can take any keyword, any data type. We can take not keyword, any data type. We can take either float, double, char, bool, or any data type that you want. You can take. And in the place of this name, you need to follow the rules of identifiers in Java. And as per the rules of identifiers, we need to take the name over here, right? So now this is how we'll be taking declaring a one-dimensional array in Java, right? So remember that at the time of declaration, we are not supposed to specify size. If you are specifying size, then Java compiler generates an error. Subscript you can take anywhere. before variable name, after variable name, or immediately after the data type, or before data type. If you are taking means, then Java compiler generates an error. Only two cases the Java compiler generates an error at the time of declaration. One is if you take subscript before data type, then Java compiler generates an error. Or if you take a size within the subscript, then Java compiler generates an error. But in those two cases itself, the Java compiler generates when you declare an array. Right. So the next thing is construction of array. How to construct an array means very simple. We can take here a is equal to, first we declared it. After that we are taking int space, new space, a is equal to new space, int of 5, int of 5 semicolon, int of 5 semicolon. Then what happens here? 5 blocks of memory is going to be allocated. Java C space ex.java. There won't be any problem here because we declared it. After that we initialized it. We created it, right? So we can write this in one single line. No need to go with multiple lines. You can write that in one single line itself. You can write that in one single line. No problem. You can write it. Okay. So this is how we are going to construct an array in Java, right? So in Java, arrays are objects. In Java, arrays are what? Objects. As I already said you that if you declare int space a semicolon, then that can be called as primitive. But when the memory is going to be allocated by using new operator, then it can be considered as an object. In any object-oriented programming language, it can be considered as an object. Okay, so we can allocate a memory dynamically by using new operator. At the construction, we should specify the size of the array. When we construct an array, initially it contains the default values. Initially it contains what? Default values. Then what they are saying is at the time of construction of array itself, we need to specify the size. We need to specify size of the array. That's what we are done in the program. And then what they are saying is when we construct an array, initially it contains the default values. Initially it contains what? Default values. That's what they are saying. Let's see how the memory is going to be allocated for array and how the default values will be there for this array. Let's see it. Right. So what happens is like this, the block of memory is going to be allocated. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's take the index. Just like how the things will be there in C language, the same thing will be there in Java also. But only the thing is we'll be considering it as an object. That's it. This is the index. Next, let us assume that memory. Here 4 bytes. For every block takes 4 bytes. For every block it takes what? 4 bytes. Here it's 4 bytes memory. Okay. Next thing is address. Let's make the address as 200 for the first block, and the next block address is going to be 200, 201, 202, 203 allocated for first block. Next thing is 204, 205, 206, 207 is allocated for second one, and 208 from 208 onwards is allocated for third one, and 212 and then 216. This is the address. And how to access it means very simple. It was referred with A, so we can take A of 0, so that we'll be getting the first element, A of 1, so that we'll be getting second element. Next, A of 3 will be getting third element. Next, A of 4 will be getting what? Fourth element. So that this is accessing array elements. Array elements, right? So this complete block. This complete block is referred by one single variable that is what a. That is what a. Okay, this is how the memory is going to be allocated for arrays. This is how the memory is going to be allocated for arrays in Java. Just like how is there in C language, the same process is there in Java also, right? So is it clear for everyone when we are going to take instruction like this? Is it clear for everyone?
Yes.
Fine. So this is what is going to be happened when you declare an array. Okay, fine. Make a note of this, students, fast. I think, have you written any notes regarding this arrays?
No, sir.
Make a note of this fast. This is not required. Directly keep adding one-dimensional array declaration. Make a note of this fast. Make it fast, students. I'm seeing very good number of students in the class. 62 count is very good. Just write declaration. And take this statement also. You need to note down this point also. If you take size at the time of declaration, then Java compiler generates an error.
Yes, sir.
Completed?
Yes, sir.
So respond. Multiple students has to give response
Yes,
when
sir.
I'm asking, right? Only one student continuously giving response every day means what's the meaning in that? Right. Don't take this point, all of you. Don't take this thing. Or else directly you can go with this. Construction of array, keep adding and take this. Construction of array. Yeah, completed this, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Fine.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now we'll see two ways of accessing this arrays. Here we declared an array, memory is going to be allocated as per the statement, as per the point in the PPT, that when we construct an array, initially it contains the default values. Okay, so now we'll be accessing. How to access an array? Can anyone say how to print array elements? How you printed that array elements in C and C++?
Using for loop, sir.
Yes. Can anyone say it? For I?
I equals to 0, I less than
I
and
equal
I
to
equals
0.
I
I
less
I
than
less than or
Less than 5 or greater than 5?
less than 5.
less than 5.
Less than 5, semicolon, I
I
plus
plus
plus.
plus.
And after that, we'll be taking what? System dot.
How
And there
dot
is
println.
one thing I would like to say, you became familiar with Java. I hope not all, at least few students. There is one story behind system.out.println. Try to trace out that story. What is system? System is a class, I said. What is out? Out is an object, I said. Println is a method, I said. And this is from lang package, I said. Try to identify the story behind system.out.println. What is that story behind? No one knows, student. I'm very sure that those who are working in industry also, they doesn't know about system.out.println, how it has been there, why we are using this. General sense, you can observe that if you want to call any method, what is required for us? If you want to call an instance method, what we required?
Object name and the method.
Object is required. If it is a static method, object requirement is there.
No, sir.
No need of
No, sir.
object, right? But here, in order to call this println method, I'm using two things: object I'm using as well as class name I'm using. System is class, out is object, println is method. What is the story behind this? Try to trace it out. Okay. Right. So this is how we'll be printing the values on the screen. Or someone has given a message. Okay, sir. Okay. I thought you have given answer. Right. So system.out.println of a of I, like this, will be printing the things. And then one more thing which was introduced in Java 1.5 version, and that is for each loop. That is for each loop. This is very, very important and interesting thing, students, for each loop. This loop is completely conditional based. This is completely conditional based. Here first it initializes some value and then we'll be checking the condition. After that we'll be executing this instruction. But coming to this for each loop, it's not going to be like that. Once you initiated, the termination will be there on for each loop itself, or the what right hand object itself. We are not going to stop the termination of this for each loop. Right? How it is going to be is, it takes each and every element. I will be writing it. Try to see it. For int m colon a, and then system dot out dot println of m. System dot out dot println of m. Now what happens here is, when the first time, try to concentrate here for each loop. When first time your loop execution has been started means, then what happens is first time your loop execution has been started, let us assume. Now for m colon a, suppose your a contains 5 elements, then for one element of a will be stored in this m first time, and that m will be printed on the screen 0. Let us assume a contains 5 elements and the 5 element values are 0. Now second time, second element is going to be printed. Second element is going to be stored in m, and that was printed. And third iteration, third element of a has been stored in m, and the third element is going to be printed. And fourth iteration, fourth element of a has been stored in m, and that fourth element is going to be printed. And fifth time, fifth element of a is going to be stored in m, and fifth element is going to be printed on the output screen. Right? This is what is going to be happen. We are not going to write any conditions. We are not going to use any indexes over there. We are not using increment, decrement operators. We are not going to use anything over there. Simply what we are doing is, we are writing one iterable variable and one object we are using, and that a is an object. And this iterable variable, variable, what it does is, it takes first element, first iteration, next iteration takes second element, next iteration takes third element, third iteration, fourth iteration takes fourth element, fifth iteration takes fifth element from this object. This is an object. This is a normal variable. And when first iteration, it takes first element, second iteration, second element, third iteration, third element, fourth iteration, fourth element, fifth iteration, fifth element, sixth iteration, sixth element. And suppose if there is only 5 elements, 5 times only it is going to be executed. It's not in our hand. If it is 10 elements, then 10 times its for each loop is going to be executed. But here we can control it. See, suppose by chance, if I'm going to take here as 10, but total elements are 5 only, but I'm taking here 10. What's the meaning in that? Does it make any sense? No. Right? So if by chance, if you are by mistake, if you are going to take here it as 3, but there is a requirement for me to use what do you see, 5 elements, but I'm going to get only 3 elements. Like that, we'll be getting some problems with our traditional for loop. So that's the reason we'll be going with this for each loop concept. And this for each loop concept, what will be used much very highly recommended in industry when you are going to use when you are going with this util package collection framework, then we'll be going with this maximum cases, we'll be going with this for each loop concept itself. Okay, clear with this for each loop, students? It's very simple. Or you want me to repeat it again? Respond.
Sir, for each and only arrays ki applicable है ना?
No. It will be applicable to different objects. Different objects means if that object is going to hold multiple values, then we can go with that. That means if you are going to create demo object and you are going to apply for each loop for this demo objects, means it's not going to be applicable for that.
Okay, sir.
But okay, I will discuss it later. Right? Any other doubts with respect to this arrays for each loop? Students respond, then only I will go further. Otherwise, I will be in dilemma whether you understood it or not.
Yes, sir.
Only 2-3 students understood it. Respond, students. Fine. I hope only 4 students understood it. I will conclude like now. I am going with programming here for int I is equal to 0, I less than 5. Actually, I'm not supposed to take here I. We need to take some other thing. I will be discussing that. System dot out dot println of a of I for int m colon a, and then again I'm going to use system dot out dot print will be using, not println, print will be using print slash t plus a of I. Okay, and here also we'll be going with print slash t plus a of I. Okay, so we'll be taking some statement here, system dot out dot println normal for loop system dot out dot println for each. Okay, save it and let's execute this. A of
M kada sir.
Yeah, very good. Who is this Gayatri? Huh?
Yes sir.
Very good. That means she's only screen seeing the screen, right? So Java C space ex not class. Sorry. Java C space ex dot Java, no error. -cp opening double quotes. And then ex, right? So normal for loop we got 000, and for each loop we got what 000, right? That means default values are applicable for what arrays. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
See, fine. Make a note of this, students, all of you, this program. First, this gives you how to access array elements, and you need to ask me a question how to accept array elements from the keyboard. I already shared the code how to accept integer values or floating point values from the keyboard by using buffer reader class and all. If possible, today I will be discussing that. Make a note of this fast. After completion of that, respond. Try to practice the Java programs. Otherwise, it's very difficult for you to remember the things. It's not like C, it's not like C++. It's like an ocean. Java programming is completely an ocean. See, this many days we are taken to complete what the basics of Java. So each and everything we are seeing very clearly, and every topic also there is what clear-cut points I given to you all. So try to practice it. The only thing that you can do in Java is that only practice. By practice itself, you'll be getting it. Not by what listening the lessons continuously. With this, you will not get Java. Only by practice, you will be getting it. And I'm very happy that few students are what practicing on their mobiles, and they're sharing their what outputs to me. It's very great thing. Completed.
Yes, sir.
Right. Let's see few valid and invalid things here. In Java, it is legal to have the size of the array as 0. If you take the size of array as 0 in C or C++, it generates an error. But in Java, it doesn't generate any error. It doesn't generate any error. Let's see whether if you take the size of the array as 0, is that Java compiler generates any error means. Let's see. So I will make all these things as comments. So save it. We are taking size of the array as 0. So Java compiler is not going to generate any error over there, right? But you will be getting an error. See, when you are going to get an error, when you are going to assign some value to this a of 0. A of 0 is equal to 1 if you are assigning, then in that case, your Java compiler generates an error. Not Java compiler, might be JVM. See, we got an error. Java.lang.array index out of bound exception, index 0 out of length 0, right? See, it is allowing us to take the size as 0. 0 means what? 0. We are not interested to store any values over there. 0 values, 0 memory block. And we are going to store some value over in some value in the array. Is it possible? We are saying there size 0. We are saying there here size as 0. Nothing I would like to store. 0 means nothing. Nothing memory is going to be allocated. And I would like to, I'm going to store some value into this array A. Then what Java JVM is saying is that Java compiler is not going to give any objection in that case. Okay, Java compiler is not giving any error over there, but JVM is generating an error over there, right? Index 0 out of bounds exception. Okay, suppose I'm going to take here 1 and I'm going to assign 1 to 0, then there won't be any problem. You can print that value also. Okay, we've not got any error over there. Clear with this, everyone? If you take 0, there won't be any error at the time of declaring, but when you are going to assign any value, then it generates what? Index out of bound exception error. Okay, clear with this, students? Respond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now let's see when you take here index as negative value. Index as negative value. At the time of compilation, are we going to get any error? No error, but the time of running will be getting an error. Array negative size exception. Negative array size exception. Negative array size exception. That means compilation will not be getting any error if you take the size as negative. But at the time of execution, JVM is going to generate an error. We are not supposed to take it. Then the question raises what we can take over here. We can take only positive integer. Apart from positive integer, if you take any other thing, it generates an error. Let us take here 10.3f. It's a float, right? So again, I'm going to compile it. At the time of compilation itself, generating an error. That means what compiler expecting over here is it's expecting only integer. Either it is positive or negative integer, doesn't matter to the compiler, it expecting an integer. But when it comes to the JVM, JVM expects only positive integer. See how they are developed. See, At the time of compilation, it accepts only integer, whatever integer it might be positive integer or negative integer, it doesn't matter. Java compiler expecting that there should be an integer. Okay, if it is integer, it allows, but JVM is going to allow it whenever it is a positive integer, And what we can do is we can typecast here. We can use the typecast operator. Let's see whether we'll be getting any problem over there or not. No problem. And let us run this. No problem. What happened here? What type of typecasting we are using over here? Explicit typecasting we are using, right? So this much of thing is not required. Just remember that within this subscript, we need to take positive integer. Within this subscript, we need to take what? Positive integer. Apart from that, if you are taking any other thing, then Java compiler generates an error. Suppose I'm going to take within single quotes A, then what happens? Can anyone say what happens? Is that error?
No, sir.
Then what happens? ASCII value. What's the ASCII value of small a?
97.
Then the size of the array is going to become
97.
That's it. Very good. So no error. No error. Okay, fine. Suppose right. That means you got some clarity over here. Within this subscript, we need to take an integer. Java compiler looks whether you are taking integer or not. JVM looks whether you are taken positive integer or not. That's it. Okay. Right. Now let me conclude one more point over here. I'm going to take some variable called n. Some variable called n. And I'm initializing this variable n with respect to 5. With respect to 5. Now here I'm taking the n over here. Now is it valid or invalid?
Valid, sir.
Valid? Respond other students what you're doing. Valid?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Because here I'm expecting integer, right? But n is integer or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Integer.
Integer, right? So and n is initialized with some variable, some value called 5, and what here in the place of n will be getting 5. So there won't be any problem at all. There won't be any problem at all, right? So we got an output, right? So now I declared some variable called n and I'm taking it. Is it valid? I not initialized it.
No, sir.
No. No. Why?
Uninitialized local variable will be considered as error.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Here n is a local variable, students, and n is not initialized, and we are trying to use that n variable in what do you say, a size of the array. Then the Java compiler is going to generate an error. Variable n might not have been initialized. Variable n might not have been initialized. This is what we discussed in variables concept. Okay, fine. Very good, Srikar. Very good. So if you are remembering the points and you are seeing, if you open your eyes and you are seeing, boy, n is local variable. When we declared a variable in a method, it should be initialized. How you are initializing, it's up to you, whether you are accepting from keyboard or whether you're initializing in the program, that it's your headache. But n should be initialized. If you're not initializing n, then Java compiler generates an error. Java compiler generates an error if you're not initializing a local variable. Okay. All right. I hope I made this declarations construction of arrays very clear for you. I think no one take this much of time. Clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. Make a note of this, students. Past this point, past. Past, students, we have very less time. We need to finish at least this one-dimensional array, and then we need be entering into this two-dimensional array concept. Fast, make it fast, students. And don't expect from tomorrow sessions we'll be going like this. We'll be going with somewhat speed because these are all basics. That's the reason I went very slow, very slow. Completed?
Yes.
Right. You can take over here that if you take here interspace x equal to new interspace 10.5 means, then what your Java compiler generates an error. Java compiler generates an error. This one you can take. This you can take. This also you can. Don't take this one. Take this part, this statement, this statement. Completed?
Yes, sir.
Very good. I heard a new voice, right? And other important thing is length. I would like to say this very, very important. Length is a variable, and this variable can be used with respect to arrays. So this variable can be used, length variable can be used with respect to arrays only. And what is the purpose of this length variable? This length variable returns the size of the array. Most of the students are getting confusion with this length, because the word itself length means it uses the number of elements in the array. Like that the students are going to be thinking, but it's not the correct thing. Length means it uses the size of the array. Size of the array means how much memory allocated for array. Suppose you might be declaring an array size as 15, but you might be initializing only 5 values or 10 values. If in that case, if you are going to use this length variable, it uses 15, it doesn't use 5. Length indicates the size of the array. It doesn't indicate the number of elements stored in an array. I will be showing you an example over here. Right. So how to use this length variable means just whatever the array name that you are going to use, array name dot length, that gives us the size of the array. That gives us what? The size of the array. Okay. That gives us the size of the array, right? Make a note of this, and you have an instructions over here. X x subscript is equal to new int x of 5, and then system.out.println x dot length means gives us 5. And then here within single quotes, if you are going to take a means, then up to this you can take. But this is enough. Up to this is enough. So this is very, very important, students. Length can be written only in lowercase. Actually, it's a variable. It's a property of an array. Make it fast. We have very less time. We need to close this.
Completed.
Fine, fine, very good. Always Karthikeya is giving what good response to. See, students, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take here 5. X dot length, length. Save it. And I'm expecting one question from your end. It's not exciting. It's not. It's a. Okay, 5 we got over that. So whenever you are going to write any for loop, don't write here less than 5 and all. Write x dot length. X dot length. That gives us the size of the array. That gives us the size of the array. Not x dot length. Here it is.
A dot length.
Yeah. Okay, 5, and then this is what. Okay, now what happens is you can see here I have taken size of the array as 5, but I'm initializing a of 0 is equal to 10, a of 1 is equal to 20, a of 2 is equal to 30. Save it. Now again compile it. Run it. So even though I got here 5, that means 5 means it is size. It's not the length. It's not the number of elements in the array. Try to remember this. Most of the students are getting confused over that. If anybody asks you array name dot length gives us what number of elements in array or size of the array, simply say that size of the array. That's it. Okay. Clear with this, students, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And then initialization part and how we are going to initialize an array. First, if you declare after constructing an array, you can initialize one by one element like this. One by one element like this you can initialize, or else at the time of initializing at the time of declaring itself, directly you can initialize like this. Directly you can initialize this like this. No need to take new space in something. If you want to initialize directly values, directly you can take like this 10, 20, 40, just like how you are going to do in C language. And here also you can take like this. And the memory will be allocated as per the number of elements. If there are 3 elements you are going to take, and for this 3 elements only the memory is going to be allocated. And if you are going to take x dot length means it gives us 3 only. Let's see one simple example over here. In this A, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to take 5 elements or 3 elements I'm going to take. Okay, I'm saving it. So 3, 10, 20, 10, 30, 40, 10, 30, 40. Okay, clear? Everything is going to be in one single line, right? So, okay, if we specify size, you already know if we specify size here, then we'll be getting compile time. Right? Make a note of this example fast. Make it fast, students. I need to conclude this one dimensional array today. Up to this, it is enough. Completed.
Yes, sir.
So let's see one program here. I will be showing you one program. CD space. CD space. Right. So this is a program. What I'm trying to do here is I'm going to read these array values from the keyboard, and I would like to print those values on the output screen, right? So in order to read array values from the keyboard, we'll be using this class buffer reader. Br is equal to new buffer reader, new input stream reader system.in. After that, I'm going to declare an array like this. I'm going to declare an array like this, and then system.out.println, enter 5 integers. Enter 5 integers. By using for loop, I'm going to read 5 integers, and one by integer I'm going to store in this marks of 0 by using the method. And then I'm going to use this one for each loop, and I'm going to print those things. Okay, I will explain this code later. Just try to see the execution part of this. 2 programs I will be showing you. Right, so you can observe the output of the programs, and then you need to judge which is going to be an efficient. Right, enter 5 integers is asking, and every line one integer I need to enter. Right, see here I entered 5 integers, 5, 10, 20, 12, and then 14. After that I printing 5, 10, 20, 12, and then 14. Now I'm going to run one more program. So it's asking me enter number of values you want to enter. Suppose I would like to enter 5 values, then enter 5 integers. I'm going to enter 5 integers over here. And after that it's printing 5 integers. Which one is efficient, students, here? The first one or the second one?
Second, sir.
Why?
In second one, we have a facility to give the size what we want.
Very good. Again, I'm explaining, again, I'm executing the first program. See, students, I'm going to give 10 values. It's asking me 5 values, 5 integers. So I'm giving 5 integers. You're all computer science students, right? I'm getting doubt. So 10, 30, 40, and then 60. After that, 10, 30, 40, and then 60. This is the first program I executed. And second program I'm executing. It's asking me enter number of values you want to enter. I entered 5. And it's asking me enter 5 integers. I'm entering 5 integers. Okay, 10, 56, 98, 48, 98. I entered this. Which one is efficient, student? Students, are you there or not? 50 students are there, but out of 50, only one is responding. Which one is efficient?
Second one.
Second one. Why? Why? Okay. So this is what one-dimensional array. And next class we'll be going to see an overlook on two-dimensional array concept, how to define two-dimensional array, and all we'll be seeing in the next class. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, you can.